Deep within the Eterna Forest lies a mysterious building with dark secrets. Who would dare to enter such a place?
That'll do.
The Old Chateau is one of the many haunted locations in the Pokemon franchise, and it returns in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. There isn't much build-up to it aside from Gym Leader Gardenia standing just outside the overgrown shrubs after you've defeated her. She tells you that she isn't scared or anything, just obviously lying through her teeth. But this is the first sign that something might be off. There isn't a whole lot in this place, but it definitely brings the unsettling atmosphere. The improved lighting in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl works much better compared to the original. It really makes it seem abandoned. One of the first things you'll notice is the statue in the main hall. We are normally used to seeing these statues in pairs, standing on either side of a pathway. But here, there's only one statue, and so it prompts the player to investigate. At which point, we're met with a message that begins to tell us we're probably being watched. There are a few items in some of the surrounding rooms, but the interesting stuff is further in. And here we encounter one of the many ghost girls, as staple for Pokemon, though not directly. I find this moment fascinating because if we were in the place of the protagonist, we wouldn't be able to see her, since she's in the other room. But because we have this specific viewpoint as the player, with how old Pokemon games set up their camera, this is technically a fourth wall break, which can be some of the most shocking in video games, when we're not expecting it. There's also this creepy painting on the wall with glowing eyes. It still adds to the feeling of being watched, but isn't as effective as the Ghost Girl. Though I do like that the eyes stop glowing once you're standing on the tile directly in front of it, because it makes it seem like one of those paintings that you feel like is staring at you until you finally look at it directly and realize it's just a painting. It would have been great if we would have seen more of these paintings throughout the chateau. Lastly, we see an old man in the dining hall who floats off to the left and disappears. It's still freaky and can catch you off guard, but definitely doesn't have the same spook factor as the little girl. The final secret of the Old Chateau is an old television tuned to static. A cool detail that I like is that it genuinely looks older than the other TVs we see in Sinnoh, and it also sticks with the trope of TV static being scary.
I love this channel.
But it of course ties into the static encounter Pokemon, Rotom. It's weird that the legendary battle theme is used for a level 15 Pokemon, but it's still cool. After catching Rotom, we're given the secret key. This is an item introduced in Platinum alongside Rotom's alternate forms. Originally, it was distributed for a limited time like a lot of other events from Generation 4. A little pamphlet was included in copies of Pokemon Platinum that explains what the distribution event is, teases all the alternate forms of Rotom, gives some directions and screenshots, and even instructs how to unlock Mystery Gift. And that's really cool. But thankfully, in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, we aren't held back by timed events, at least for Rotom. So we can head over to the Galactic Building in Eterna City and have access to all the appliances for Rotom's transformations. There are also 2 journals in the room. One of them gives some exposition on Rotom and is written by a Team Galactic scientist named Charon, who isn't in this game, he's from Platinum. So I guess that's why his name cuts off at the end. Either that or it's implied that Rotom attacks him as he's writing. That makes it even scarier, though it's just an easy way of not referencing a character from Platinum who doesn't appear in the remakes. A second journal is written by an unknown author, though there are quite a few theories, one of them being Cyrus. It tells the story of a child who had a Rotom as a friend. This was even apparently the first discovery of Rotom, as the author states they're the one who coined the name. The Rotom accidentally shocks the child, and later, when the author finds their discarded toy robot, the Rotom is inside the toy, allowing the two of them to interact. It's a bit of a longer story compared to some of the others in Pokemon games, so you're constantly given the prompt asking if you'd like to continue reading. And even though I'm out of the spooky building, this adds a sense of urgency, as if we're reading old information in a place we aren't supposed to be. And I guess technically we're not supposed to be here, but I was playing this after completing the Pokemon League, so there are no Team Galactic members here. But this is basically the end of the Old Chateau. It's kind of weird as it seems like it doesn't really connect to much, just being an old haunted place where Rotom happens to be hiding. I do like the Pokemon Generations episode focusing on the Old Chateau. We don't really get too much information from it, but the short is amazing for how well it sets up atmosphere and works as a legitimate horror Pokemon short. It follows Cheryl and her Chansey as they come to the Old Chateau and are greeted by an old man, presumably the old man we see in the video games. He welcomes them in and provides them with dinner and a room. But everything is so off from the beginning, and it's uncomfortable to watch, as they eat food that isn't even there. But it's uncomfortable in a good way. That's the entire goal of the short. The old man reveals himself to be a ghost, taking the form of a haunter, so he could have even been a haunter originally. The illusion fades away by the end of the short, but not before the ghost girl shows up for one last scare. Again, this episode doesn't give too much more information, but it really helps to show how scary this place can be. But in the end, I think it does better establish that the Old Chateau is just a weird haunted place. There's probably some good backstory behind it, but creepy moments and locations in Pokemon work well when they're isolated incidents. I do think it's possible Charon had been researching a Rotom in captivity in the Galactic Building, but one day it was able to escape, probably letting out a burst of electricity, evidenced by the fact the notes cut off abruptly. Rotom then runs off to the nearest place it can hide, which is the Old Chateau in the nearby forest, finding a home in the old television set until someone comes to find it. Whatever the answer is, the Old Chateau is one of the great spooky locations in Pokemon. Getting to revisit it in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was refreshing, as it's a little better realized with more appropriate lighting and better detailed environments, while retaining the basic setup and camera position that made it work. Whoever really owned this place and whatever Rotom is really doing there is just one of the many mysteries in Pokemon. And so that has been the Great Chateau of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl.
But anyway, hey, this is GatorX, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, let me know how your journey through Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is going so far. If you'd like to show your support, you can leave a like and subscribe. And I'm also on Twitter if you'd like to follow me there as well. But anyway, this has been GatorX. Have a nice day.